Đây là chương trình Anh ngữ sinh động New Dynamic English bài thứ 52. Phạm Văn xin kính chào quý vị thính giả. Trong bài học hôm nay, trước hết quý vị nghe phần mách giúp về văn hóa, về thẻ tín dụng và ngân phiếu du lịch. Sau đó là phần làm đầy đủ một câu bằng một chữ đã học trong bài. Tiếp theo, quý vị nghe lại những cách từ chối nhã nhặn. Đó là những câu như I'm afraid, hay là I'm sorry but, hay là I'm afraid that isn't possible, hay là I understand what you mean, but, tôi hiểu điều ông muốn nói, nhưng. Quý vị cũng nghe những câu như credit card, thẻ mua chịu, thẻ tín dụng, traveler's checks, chi phiếu du lịch, tức là thứ chi phiếu có thể lĩnh ở hầu như ở mọi nơi, và nếu mất, có thể xin bồi hoàn. Nhưng khi mua, phải trả một lệ phí nhỏ bằng 1 hay 1.5% trị giá chi phiếu. Quý vị nghe câu carry a lot of cash. Carry a lot of cash, mang theo nhiều tiền mặt. Chữ cash, C-A-S-H, vừa là danh từ, vừa là động từ. Cash nếu là danh từ, nghĩa là tiền mặt. To cash a check, lĩnh ngân phiếu. Quý vị cũng nghe câu rent a car. Rent a car, thuê xe hơi. Quý vị sẽ nghe mấy câu dài như sau đây. Having a credit card makes travel in the United States much more convenient. Having a credit card makes travel in the United States much more convenient. Có thẻ tín dụng thì việc du lịch ở Mỹ tiện hơn nhiều. Câu thứ hai. If you carry credit cards, you don't have to carry a lot of cash. If you carry credit cards, you don't have to carry a lot of cash. Nếu mang theo thẻ tín dụng, thì bạn không cần phải mang theo nhiều tiền mặt. Câu thứ ba. Just make sure you get a major credit card that is accepted worldwide. Just make sure you get a major credit card that is accepted worldwide. Chỉ cần lo sao cho có một thẻ tín dụng chính là thẻ được nhận khắp thế giới. Major, M-A-J-O-R, major là chính. Worldwide, W-O-R-L-D-W-I-D-E, worldwide là khắp thế giới. Câu thứ tư. Merchants only accept personal checks from local banks. Merchants only accept personal checks from local banks. Người bán hàng chỉ nhận ngân phiếu cá nhân của ngân hàng địa phương. Xin nghe lại mấy câu đó. Having a credit card makes travel in the United States much more convenient. If you carry credit cards, you don't have to carry a lot of cash. Just make sure you get a major credit card that is accepted worldwide. Merchants only accept personal checks from local banks. Xin mời quý vị nghe phần đầu của bài học.
Culture tips.
Hello again. We're here with Gary Angleton, our business language expert. Welcome back to Culture Tips, Gary.
Thanks. It's wonderful to be back. So, what's our first email question?
Our first question is, do I need a credit card to travel in the United States?
Excellent question. I would say it's very important to have a credit card. First, having a credit card makes travel in the United States much more convenient.
In what way?
Well, for example, it's impossible to rent a car without a credit card. And credit cards are accepted almost everywhere. Finally, if you carry credit cards, you don't have to carry a lot of cash.
Those are all good points.
Just make sure you get a major credit card that is accepted worldwide.
Thanks, Gary. Here's another email question about paying for things. Should I use checks in the United States?
Well, there are two important types of checks, traveler's checks and personal checks. Traveler's checks are very convenient since they are accepted in most places. They are especially helpful if you want to buy something from a small shop that does not accept credit cards.
Oh, I see.
Personal checks, however, are much more difficult to use. Generally, merchants only accept personal checks from local banks. They don't accept out-of-town checks. So when you're traveling, it's better to use credit cards and traveler's checks than personal checks.
Thanks, Gary. That was very helpful.
My pleasure.
Trong phần tới, quý vị tập điền một chữ vào một câu cho câu đầy đủ ý nghĩa, rồi nghe câu trả lời đúng.
Sentence completion. Listen. Complete the sentence.
If you carry credit cards, you don't have to carry a lot of cash. You don't have to carry a lot of cash. A check which draws money from your own bank account is called a personal check. It's called a personal check. A check from a bank located in another town is called an out-of-town check. It's called an out-of-town check.
Trong phần tiếp, Business Dialogue, Attempting to cash a check, phần đàm thoại thương mại, cố xin lĩnh chi phiếu. Quý vị nghe lại phần đàm thoại giữa một du khách và một nhân viên thu phát ngân nhà băng, tiếng Anh gọi là bank teller hay là bank clerk. Quý vị cũng nghe cách từ chối, tiếng Anh gọi là refusals. Động từ to attempt, A-T-T-E-M-P-T, attempt, nghĩa là cố, là thử, tiếng Anh tương tự có chữ try. Xin mời quý vị nghe phần 3 của bài học.
Business dialogue. Refusals.
For today's business dialogue, we're going to listen again to a portion of the dialogue we heard earlier between the bank teller and a customer at the bank. The customer has just exchanged British pounds for American dollars.
Is there anything else I can help you with?
Yes, please. Could I cash this personal check from my London bank?
I'm afraid that isn't possible. Our policy is that we do not cash out-of-town checks.
It's very important that I cash this check.
Yes, I understand, but it's against bank policy.
Could I see the manager, please?
I'm sorry, but the manager, Mr. Grover, is out right now. The assistant manager, Ms. Grace, is in. Would that be all right?
Yes, that's fine, thank you.
Certainly. One moment, please.
Trong đoạn sắp tới, Focus on Functions, Refusals, quý vị tập dùng những câu từ chối một cách lịch sự, nhã nhặn. Xin nghe rồi lặp lại. Cũng một ý mà có thể nói hai cách. Thí dụ như ta có thể bắt đầu những câu từ chối bằng I'm afraid hay là I'm sorry. Yes, I see what you mean. Hay là Yes, I understand what you mean. Tôi hiểu điều ông muốn nói. Xin mời quý vị nghe.
Focus on functions. Refusals.
Now let's focus on refusals.
Listen to these variations.
I'm afraid that isn't possible.
I'm sorry, but that isn't possible.
Yes, I understand, but it's against bank policy.
Yes, I see what you mean, but it's against bank policy.
I'm sorry, but the manager, Mr. Grover, is out right now.
I'm afraid the manager, Mr. Grover, is out right now.
Trong phần tới, Gary's Tips, Refusals. Gary sẽ chỉ dẫn cho ta những cách từ chối lịch sự. Chúng ta sẽ nghe lại mấy đoạn người thu phát ngân nhà băng từ chối thân chủ. Động từ to refuse, R-E-F-U-S-E, to refuse, từ chối. A refusal, lời từ chối, R-E-F-U-S-A-L. Quý vị cũng nghe câu giải nghĩa. To refuse means to say that you can't or won't do something that a person asks you to do. Từ chối là nói mình không thể hay không muốn làm điều gì mà người khác yêu cầu mình làm. Quý vị sẽ nghe tính từ rude, đánh vần R-U-D-E, rude, thô lỗ, thiếu nhã nhặn. Trái nghĩa là polite. Quý vị cũng nghe chữ colleague, colleague, C-O-L-L-E-A-G-U-E, colleague, đồng nghiệp. Quý vị cũng nghe câu I have another engagement. I have another engagement. Tôi có chuyện bận khác. Xin mời quý vị nghe phần 5 của bài học.
Gary's Tips.
Now it's time for Gary's Tips with Gary Angleton.
Hello there. Our function of the day is refusals. To refuse means to say that you can't or won't do something that a person asks you to do. In the business dialogue, you heard several examples of refusals. Let's replay parts of the conversation between the customer and the bank clerk. In the first example, the bank teller refuses to cash a personal check by saying, "I'm afraid that isn't possible." Let's listen.
Could I cash this personal check from my London bank?
I'm afraid that isn't possible. Our policy is that we do not cash out-of-town checks.
Using the phrase, "I'm afraid," is a very common way to begin a refusal. Some other examples are, "I'm afraid I can't help you," or "I'm afraid he's not here right now." Another way to begin a refusal is to say, "I'm sorry, but." Saying that you're sorry that you can't be more helpful is a very polite way to make a refusal. Here's an example from our bank dialogue.
Could I see the manager, please?
I'm sorry, but the manager, Mr. Grover, is out right now.
Usually, after you say you're sorry, you give a reason for your refusal. For example, if someone asks you to go to lunch and you're busy, you can say, "I'm sorry, but I have another engagement." If someone wants to speak to your colleague, but he's not there, you can say, "I'm sorry, but he's not here right now." Let's listen to one more polite way to make a refusal. In our example from the bank teller says, "Yes, I understand, but." Let's listen.
It's very important that I cash this check.
Yes, I understand, but it's against bank policy.
Usually, you say, "Yes, I understand," when the other person is giving you reasons for a request, and you want to show that you heard what the person said. Let's hear the example one more time.
It's very important that I cash this check.
Yes, I understand, but it's against bank policy.
There are some less polite ways to make a refusal. Let's hear some examples of things you shouldn't say.
Could I cash this personal check from my London bank?
No, that's impossible.
It's very important that I cash this check.
I told you we can't do that.
In this conversation, the bank teller is very rude to the customer. Remember, make your refusals as polite as possible by saying, "I'm afraid," and "I'm sorry." Well, that's all the time we have for today. I hope today's tips were helpful.
Thanks very much, Gary.
Quý vị vừa học xong bài 52 trong chương trình Anh ngữ sinh động New Dynamic English. Phạm Văn xin kính chào quý vị thính giả và xin hẹn gặp lại trong bài học kế tiếp.